In my last video, I talked about how evangelical Christians use fear-mongering to create a pew-to-poll pipeline for the Republican Party, and how they are directly responsible for what is happening today. This includes the US and Israeli war on Iran, where the death toll currently stands at 787. This past Monday, there was a mass funeral for the 165 people murdered in the bombing of the all-girls school in Iran, most of whom were children. While evangelical Christian adults tout themselves as protectors of children, they are far from it. Evangelical Christianity is nothing more than a doomsday cult with a pretty name, and they work tirelessly to indoctrinate their children into it. As I was growing up in the church, we were taught Rapture doctrine. Some of you may be familiar with the term, others may not. Rapture doctrine is the belief that one day Jesus will randomly come back to collect his followers, physical body and all, and take them to heaven. After this, a 7-year apocalypse will ensue to cleanse the earth and make way for when Jesus will come back again to establish a 1,000-year kingdom. While this doctrine is debated as it is introduced in the 1830s by John Nelson Darby, grew in the 1900s, and then popularized by Tim LaHaye and Gary B. Jenkins' Left Behind series in the mid-90s, it is still widely believed to be biblical as well as factual, our congregation included. Many Sundays, our pastor would stand in the pulpit and talk about current world events and how they're heralding in the end times, making way for Jesus' return. He would talk about how he believed the end is getting closer by the day, and that the rapture would be happening within our lifetime. How we, as true believers, would most likely never have to face physical death should the rapture happen. Year after year, we believed this could happen any minute now. We were also taught that no one knew the time and date that this would happen, but as I grew older and saw members of our congregation pass away, I felt bad for them, that they were not able to hold out for Jesus' return and had to face physical death. Then I began to wonder about all the people who had spent their entire lives hearing about this glorious rapture and anxiously awaiting it, only to inevitably pass away. No matter how much time passes or how many congregants physically pass away, evangelical Christians will always say the rapture is just around the corner. While the rest of us are focused on how we can exist on earth and try and not destroy the world because other people will have to live on it after we die, they are looking for signs of the rapture. Things like changes in religious affiliations, geopolitics, and technological advancements, which are always changing. So I know for a fact that right now, any church that preaches this harmful doctrine is going to be using things like the rise of AI, the slow decline of Christian affiliation in America, and the Trump-Israeli war on Iran as signs that the rapture is once again just around the corner. And here's the problem with that. These people vote, but they don't vote based on policies that would benefit not only themselves and their families in the long term, or the neighbors that they are supposed to love like Christ. They will vote Republican like they're told to. They also vote with the belief that there is no long term to account for, and that if their candidate does anything that would be considered non-Christian, well, thankfully their God is a God of forgiveness. Evangelical and Christianity and rapture doctrine eliminates the need for any and all accountability, because they are not worried about the future of our country, let alone our planet. Why would they? They aren't going to be here when the world burns to the ground to make way for their God's kingdom, so what would it matter to them? Vaccinating your kids? They don't need vaccines. The rapture is just around the corner. A stable economy? For what? The rapture's coming any day now. A healthy planet for your kids and grandchildren to enjoy for following generations? Well, thankfully there won't be any following generations, because the rapture, it's almost here, baby. It's always almost here. Literally everything that we worry about, that we vote for or against to try and have a sustainable world where we can just exist as humans, they do not care about. They don't even think about it, because no matter how bad this gets, like bombing a school full of little girls in Iran, they just see it as a necessary evil that has to happen for Jesus to come and get them. These people are a next level kind of selfish, and I'm frankly sick of their holier than thou, but think about the children attitudes. Not only is this insane and selfish, it's also pure blasphemy. While biblically no one is to know the time or date of the rapture, they have tried to predict it on numerous occasions. And if predicting it doesn't work, what's the next best thing? Attempting to trigger it, which is why they're going to be okay with bombing kids that aren't theirs. Remember how I said these people take accountability for nothing? They've already found a way to alleviate the responsibility of it by saying that Donald Trump was anointed by God to herald in the rapture. Evangelical Christianity is a doomsday cult, and we are all victims of their beliefs in one way or another. You will never be able to change my mind on this. Again, if there is an afterlife, I don't know where these people are going to go, because they aren't getting into heaven, and hell don't want them neither.